We've got Bill Mayer from Arbor SPARK. For those who don't know what Arbor SPARK is, I'm not sure how many of them there are now, but there's a lot of different smart zones around the state where there's accelerators and incubators involved, and SPARK is part of that. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, but did I describe that correctly?
You did. I agree with that description.
All right, good to know. And so we wanted to get him on because a couple of weeks ago, the strategic fund allocated $73 million to all these various zones around the state, and that the money is going to be divvied up to do a variety of things. Now, I know Spark is involved in that, and my understanding is Spark is also going to be administering part of the funds or managing it, but I'm a little unclear on that, so I'm hoping you could clear that up for me.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. And, let it be known that MITechNews.TV is the place you find out the real story. Cranes published a misstatement saying that we would be doing the administration for the entire state. We are only one awardee that is covering Livingston, Washtenaw, and Monroe counties. So we'll be doing the administration of the $3 million grant that we received, plus the $426,000 that we also received to do direct grants to businesses. The funding and resources that are available outside of Livingston, Washtenaw, Monroe will be managed by other folks. There'll be each hub program kind of does its own administration straight up to the Michigan Economic Development Corporation.
Okay, that's good to know. I guess I gotta go. I gotta go change the news release about LTU's grant that I just posted online.
Yeah, it's true. We contacted Cranes and said, we think we're great, but we're not that great. We're not doing the whole state. We're just doing the whole piece.
Yeah, not doing the whole 73 million. Huh?
Well, no. and of course, Matt can't talk bad about Cranes because he's a Cranes alumni.
Yeah, so. I'm a Cranes refugee from long ago. Yes, right. So yeah, tell us about what Spark's plans are with this grant. What are you going to be doing with it?
Sure. So, one of the things that's always been a challenge for Spark, and it's something personally that I've always found really challenging, is the legislation that enables smart zones, gives us budget to do the work that we do. It always has, limits on it. It has restrictions on what we can and cannot do. And I respect the state of Michigan's decision, and I think it was a good one, to focus from an economic development standpoint on, sort of scalable tech companies like, I don't know, a Duo Security or a LlamaSoft or a SkySpecs or something like that. But there's lots of other types of businesses. I mean, Michigan Tech News, that's a great business. You look at, your coffee shops, your restaurants, a law firm, that's a great business, but it doesn't fall into that scalable, high growth, potentially venture capital appropriate type of company. And so it's always been a little frustrating, actually probably more than a little frustrating to us, that we just don't have budget to serve those types of companies. So credit to the MEDC, they last year they incorporated into their strategic plan support for traditional small businesses. This grant opportunity is really the kind of the funding to activate that support element for small businesses. So they put out the request for proposals. We all applied. We modeled our proposal after a program that we've already been running that we received some grant funding for called Advance Your Business, or we also call it a micro enterprise grant. So we basically just scaled that up and we brought in partners to keep doing the work that we'd already have been doing to support these companies.
So,
all right. So what will you be doing for these companies? What does the micro grant program do? Does it provide mentoring, operational support? Is it direct investment into a business? What's the format?
Well, it's going to do two things. Number one, the various hub partners, and I'll go over those. The Howell Chamber of Commerce, Jewish Family Services here in Ann Arbor, Launch 734, which is Monroe County Business Alliance entity, the Michigan Small Business Development Center. And anyone that's listening that has a business, you should know who the SBDC is. They provide free counseling services to all types of businesses all over Michigan. They also have an Uplift Michigan Business Development Program. Washtenaw Community College has an excellent entrepreneurship center. These are all our partners in this grant. So some of this has not yet been defined. We put the high level proposal together. they said, okay, we're going to give you this money, but we don't actually have it yet. So now what we're doing is fleshing out the full, exactly who does what. But generally what you're going to see is a business that has needs such as they need help with marketing, they need help with accounting and finance or banking, they need help, with sort of operations and systems or human resources issues. Generally if you're a business owner, you know what your struggles are. So we have some flexibility to build the infrastructure and these support hubs that they can be delivering this counseling and advice for years to come. Then what we can also do is we have budget to engage specific service providers. For example, we look at your accounting and say, oh boy, this is a mess. Okay, what do we do about it? Well, maybe we could bring a CPA in to help you get your system cleaned up and where it needs to be. And then the $426,000 that we have for our grant award, it varies from hub to hub. We have ideas on what we want to do with that also, but I'll say stay tuned on that. You're going to see lots of press releases coming out for us that talk about the specifics of the program. We just found out we got it. We're now in a sprint to craft the program with the goal of having it funded, up and running, and businesses participating by Q1 2024.
Wow. And as someone who's, I have to admit, working with Spark, I have a software as a service company I'm developing on the side. Bill's very much aware of that.
I am.
Any money available for MVPs out of that? Will that be part of it or not?
Well, so there's a couple qualifying criteria that you need to be aware of. So, if you're familiar with, the SETI designation, the socially and economically disadvantaged individuals, if a business meets the definition of having SETI ownership, that is a qualifying criterion for you. Also, businesses located in, sort of qualified census tract areas, rural areas of Michigan, or CDFI investment areas, basically underserved or, disadvantaged communities. So, locally for us, if you look at Ypsilanti, that certainly qualifies as an eligible area. And then the third qualification is going to be that a business can demonstrate a disproportionate negative impact from COVID. So if your business existed before March 2020 and you had negative, I'm trying to think of a business that didn't have a negative impact.
Yeah, right. I was going to say they all had a
COVID.
negative impact.
Zoom maybe.
Yeah, Zoom did good,
yeah,
but everybody else
not
so much.
So so if you have if you're still smarting a little bit from COVID, that's certainly a qualifying criteria. So those are the big three that you want to try and fall into. Everyone else, we're just going to have to evaluate and see who else we can serve. But Mike, to answer your question, one of the hardest things for us to fund as a state is, sort of this MVP, which stands for minimum viable product development. A lot of times people just have to get really creative and scrappy about how to put together. It's usually how do I want to say this? Not good. Your MVP, it's usually something that you prove your point about what you're trying to build, you throw that away, and then you build a real product. So yeah, it's always a chicken and egg thing with software companies.
Yeah, it's kind of a demo. You can explain it till you're blue in the face, but if you can't actually show them how it works, they don't get it,
Right.
So,
yeah. My favorite example is from the Lean Startup, the book, where the founder of Dropbox, it was too hard to actually build something that worked. So he just did video animations about what it would look like once it was built.
Oh, I like that idea.
Hey,
Clever. I'll have to mention that to my board. We just had a board meeting this morning, so
I was going to say mention that to your developers, huh?
Yeah, hey guys, I have another idea. So a lot less expensive. All right. So go ahead, Matt.
Well, I was just going to say that our Centropolis Accelerator here at LTU also got a grant under this program. We got
congratulations.
Yeah, we got $3.4 million, and basically they're going to use it to do. Dan Radomski's in charge of that enterprise, and he's doing a heck of a job. They've helped commercialize 300, I think, physical products and generate over $300 million in capital for new companies and create 600 plus jobs. And he's just going to use that money to do more of what they're already doing, which is basically taking entrepreneurs or existing companies with ideas for new manufactured physical products and having a small army of experts and residents do design for manufacturability analysis and market analysis, that kind of thing. So that's they're more in the physical product space than you folks, though. You've always been more about software and apps, and it's not like you've had any successes or anything, like Duo and like that.
Right. Yeah, and Dan is a good friend, heck of a hockey player too. If you're ever
I
looking
did not know that. That's cool.
for
Right.
Dan trivia. But one of the goals that we have with Michigan, and I think LTU is a perfect example of this, is we do have physical product companies in Washtenaw County, but there's absolutely no reason that they couldn't participate in LTU's programming and receive excellent help and advance their business. So I've always really appreciated, I think this is something that has really evolved over the last 10 years. And I think it really has a lot to do with some of the programs that the MITC put in place that provided funding for us to work with these companies together. Because when everybody has a good book of clients, we're all very collaborative. It's when people start feeling like, they're a little starving for new business that you run into trouble. We're very busy in the entrepreneurship space. I track quite closely what the national and global trends are. And Michigan seems to be outperforming the rest of the nation right now on things like new company starts and employment growth and capital raised. So as you look at these opportunities for these different programs to exist, Spark doesn't need to do everything. LTU is extremely good at what you just described. Therefore, we don't have to do that. We can refer them to you, and we can focus on our core competencies. And you're seeing a lot of that around the state.
Yeah, and that was the thing about the grant that the Centropolis Accelerator got, is that their focus is statewide under the grant. They're not restricted to a geographic area. So
exactly. And we're trying to structure our grant such that, if you've got the Howell Chamber of Commerce and then you've got the folks down in Monroe, that any of the businesses in these areas could benefit from working with any of the partners in the organization.
All right. So any final thoughts before we let you go? I know you're a busy guy.
It's true. I just view this as a very, very bright new chapter for the state of Michigan. We talk about driving industries, and that's not a pun towards cars. We talk about driving industries like dual security that we've talked about that are adding hundreds of jobs in the tech space. But the small business economy is incredibly valuable to Michigan and the United States. It's where the most jobs are created. You look at what the state has to invest in a small business to get the return they want. It's the best deal going. So this is a really nice addition to the portfolio of support available to Michigan businesses.